Hi, I'm Sean,
Hi, and I'm Shannon.
and we're the host of Wifey and Baby Mama. Happy Thursday, family, and happy Thursday, Shannon.
Happy Thursday.
Welcome to episode 5, guys. Season 5,
Oh,
episode 5.
wow.
Shannon, can you believe it? We are moving right along.
Yeah, flying as it normally does.
Right. We are honored that you have tuned in to spend another Thursday with us. You're two hostess with the mostest, okay? And we're going to break down another exciting title for you tonight, titled The Comeback. Shannon, are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. So, as you know, guys, this podcast is all about life, love, family, and what that looks like when things get off track, as they sometimes do. So, if you're new to Wifey and Baby Mama and didn't know what we're all about, then hey, now you know. And we welcome you to our podcast tonight. So, as I stated, this is a family podcast on life, love, and sometimes things that don't look like love. Okay. So, our title tonight is kind of I guess another follow-up, Shannon, would you say continuation of last
Yeah,
week?
yeah, I would say that. It
So that
is.
will make it a second of this kind for this season, guys. Our topics are going to be so nice, we might have to do them twice, okay? But we just want to make sure we give you guys enough clarity because these are some, serious situations. So we don't want to leave anyone hanging in the balance. So we decided to do a follow up on the comeback. Now, keep in mind, Shannon and I are not doctors, psychiatrists, any of that good stuff. We're simply here for people, especially our younger folks, that may find themselves at a crossroad. Or maybe, Shannon, it's listeners that don't believe in therapy, prayer, whatever reason. Hopefully, our show can bring a sense of peace and as we give our opinions on our life situations. You know, we always make that disclaimer, Shannon, because somebody run around, they ain't got no license, they ain't no doctor.
Uh, Yeah, yeah.
You
And
know
that's
that, you know all
fine.
that.
Yeah, yeah. And it's fine if you disagree. There are
That's
people
right.
that are going to disagree with what we have to say, just like when we're watching and listening to other people's podcasts or other folks' television shows. We don't agree with everything they say,
Everything they
you
say,
know.
absolutely.
So
But Shannon,
we
you know
don't
why?
we don't take any offense. Hmm.
And not at all. And while we have no college degrees, Shannon, I'm telling you, Life 101 has taught me plenty of things, okay?
Hmm. Hmm.
Things that college courses never have. So we're just giving y'all a little
Exactly.
Life 101 and hoping to help somebody along the way. So, anywho,
Right. Right. Here we
hopefully we
go.
can make it better since the things we're going through out here in these days and times are Shannon, not just relationship, even economy. It's a whole lot of things that can get our
Yeah.
relationships off track. But this
Right.
specific episode will be dealing on the comeback. What happens
Mhm.
after we've had infidelity? And last week, I'll give you guys a little quick recap. The lovely Ashley joined us on the benefit of the doubt, and extending a
Yes.
little grace after we've had these infidelity episodes.
Mhm.
If it was decided that the relationship would continue, tonight we'll discuss what happens after the infidelity, and we have made a hard decision that we're going to stick this thing out. We're going to try and hit that point you know, from both of our points of views. And unfortunately, we really wanted a male guest for this one, y'all, just like we do for every episode. But the guys run. They run, guys. We can't get a male perspective this season. But Shannon, you know what? We are not quitters. I guarantee you for season 15, season 5 is up. These 15 episodes are done, Shannon. We're gonna get a male on here.
Oh yeah, we will. For
But
sure.
it would have
Even
been so
even if I
good to
got to
have him.
kidnap one.
You know what I'm saying? I tried my husband, y'all. He was like, "Nope." It was a hard no. It wasn't a thought. He's like, "No, that topic, you got that one." so,
Right. Not having it.
oh, here we go. So Shannon, so I know why he probably gave us a hard no. In my opinion, in my case, past trigger Shannon has held me hostage for a while, and occasionally to this
Okay.
day, my mind drifts, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. But I quickly dismiss those thoughts because I realize, Shannon, it's very unhealthy to live in the place of what if.
Yeah.
If we
Yeah.
made this decision
Yeah.
we're gonna come back, we're gonna get it done. It's very hard to live in what if. I mean,
Right.
I would even talk to other friends and encourage them to like reconnect in peace. If you chose to stay, you got to reconnect in peace. As we said last week, Shannon, you can't let it be a life sentence, right? But you know what?
Yeah.
While I was passing out some of that advice, Shannon, I wasn't feeling it all the times myself. I was encouraging
Right.
people, but I didn't want them living in turmoil, but for a long
Mm.
time, Shannon, I hadn't even achieved that peace for myself. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever been there?
Wow. Yeah, so with my husband, we've never had the full, onslaught of, infidelity or whatever. But there have been little things where,
Right.
he reminds me of if anyone ever watched Good Times and James Evans would get attention from a woman and he'd be like, hey, 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 he'd do that little laugh. Because he's so flattered or whatever. Well, my husband would get flattered and he would sometimes have, little conversations, because he's so flattered by attention. And, that would send me, you know, to another realm.
Hmm.
Because one thing I can say, before I got married, well, I don't know this for a fact, and I'm sure if some of my old boyfriends were listening, they'd say, nah, I did cheat on you. But to my knowledge, to my knowledge, none of my boyfriends, I never had to deal with, oh, I caught my boyfriend with this person, or I caught my boyfriend with that. So I lived in a total bubble when it came to, that type of thing. Or even if I suspected, you may have had someone that turned your eye or, got you going. I would, immediately back off and I walk away and say, okay, no, you might have a wandering eye or whatever. You might,
Right.
yeah, because I remember in high school, the love of my life in high school told
This is
me,
the love of my life in
uh,
high school.
in high school,
We
you had
we
that
all thought
high
we had the
school
love of our
love.
life there. Oh you read my book, baby, and you watched my movie. Oh yes, ma'am. Go right
Yes.
ahead. Totally
High
understand.
school love. Oh my gosh. I remember him telling me, he told me, and I will say his name's his name is Jules, Jules Springs. Loved him to pieces. He told me that he had to dump me because this other girl, who I won't say her name though, he said, well, she's up to sleeping with me and you're not. You won't have sex
Oh,
with me, but she will. So I'm dumping you. So I remember I used to put him on a pedestal for that. I say, well, at least he didn't cheat.
yeah, she
At least he just
absolutely.
he came
I,
forward and said, you won't put out, but she will, so I'm out. And
and you
that's
would not believe that's
yeah.
hard for most men to do. So
Right,
Jules, we gonna give
right,
Jules a shout out for that. I respect that more than a man I got to catch cheating
mhm,
on me, and I'm sorry. I totally
right,
respect that.
right.
So
Yeah,
I'm with
yeah.
you when you're right, Jules.
Yeah, yeah. So I knew that men could have they could, totally find someone else more appealing. So whenever I would
Mhm.
see that, if, someone else is turning your head, then yeah, I'm out. I'm not going to sit back and wait for you to cheat. So as far as
Absolutely.
I know, none of the boyfriends did. And
You had a clean
so
record.
when it, yeah, so when it came to my husband appreciating attention from other people, and
You didn't know how to deal with
we
that.
bound right, we did, I did not. And so there were quite a few times our marriage was quote unquote over. I'm like, I'm done, I'm out, this is it, and Sean, you've heard me. I call you
Yeah.
up and be like, I'm out, girl. This is it. This is
And I'm like,
this
wait
is
now, hold on. Don't don't call him the cavalry yet. Hold on. He was just on the phone, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
He just said hi
yeah.
too. He just said hi too friendly. No, that ain't the grounds for calling the
Right,
quits, ma'am.
right, right.
But
Yeah.
even
And
sometimes with you, Shannon, when we would have these phone calls, like I'm like, no,
mm-hmm.
Shannon, don't do that. Don't no, that's not. The next week, I'm like, wait a minute, listen. So like I said, that's what I was referring to. Even sometimes when
Mm-hmm.
you're not in your place of comfort, right? You still want what's best for your people. You know what I mean? So
Right,
I'm
right.
happy that we're not the type of females that we discussed last week because I'm over because my stuff is tore up. Yeah, leave him, girl. I
Yeah.
wouldn't put up with that. Those are the kind of people we got to be careful about because I'm telling you to
Oh.
leave yours, and I'm not sure if my
Mm,
stuff is solid. You get what I'm saying?
right,
So
right.
you got to judge and gauge those situations for yourself, and that's what we're trying to tell you, people.
Exactly.
Sometimes
Yeah,
people don't have your best interests in mind,
they
especially when it
don't.
comes to a title like the comeback.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be
Yeah.
very careful who you include in that situation and who you
Mm-hmm.
bring in for advice. And we discussed that on last week. But
Yeah. And
we
some
have to
people,
get to a point.
yeah,
Go
a lot
ahead.
of people say, I would never put up with that. I wouldn't put up with that. And, and then you have other people to the other extreme. They put up with much worse,
You better know that. You better
but
know
like,
it.
But like this topic today, the comeback, when you do decide, and that's where we started out this conversation. You were asking, have I ever dealt with certain things? But yeah, even though mine might be minor to some people, it might be great to others.
Right.
But when I decided, okay, the marriage is not over, we are gonna figure this out or whatever, but was uncomfortable. I wasn't fully there saying, I could trust you. Now, whenever he would, walk out to the garage with his phone, I'm like, okay, is he still talking to
Mm.
this girl? Or, oh, are they texting? Or, what's he doing? I had to get past that. And that took therapy. That took us sitting down with a therapist saying, hey, this is what I'm feeling. And I'm sure, well, no, I shouldn't say I'm sure. If I had experienced it before in previous relationships, it may have gone a different way. It
Right.
may have been either it was really over, or I could have just
This
been
is
more
not that serious.
accepting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
exactly.
serious.
Yeah, not that big of a
Cause
deal. So,
cause last dude had a baby on me, so that's not really that bad. Lord forgive me, but I'm saying
oh Lord,
sometimes when
that's
you
not
go through
funny.
stuff, no, it's not. But sometimes when you go through stuff, I'm saying like it's like
Right,
it
right,
wasn't that bad.
mm,
So that's why when my friends were going through things, I was encouraging them, hey,
right.
if you guys have decided to stick it out, don't worry about other people's opinion. Because really when it comes
Mm-hmm.
right down to it, it's just the two of you. So even
Yeah.
though I had been through things, Shannon, and unfortunately I was the girl that got cheated on a lot. I think for two reasons. I was vulnerable. I was country, is all get up. And I think I was far
Oh,
too trusting. So I think that, and
okay.
I wasn't doing a whole lot of putting out myself. So I think that was a lot of what my problem was. And I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you, I probably was a little mean too, because I will get with you now. And a lot of men just can't handle me in my mouth. So for whatever reason, I found myself on the
Mm-hmm.
other side of the cheat board real a lot, really more than I wanted to be, and I'm not scared to
Yeah.
admit it, but I can tell you
Yeah.
one thing though, Shannon. I didn't put up with it too often. Like that baby,
Mhm.
I found out about that baby in high school, I was gone. You understand? I found
Yeah,
out about
yeah.
such and such. In college, I was dating this other guy. His girlfriend knocked on my door, talking about, oh, I was gone. So one thing I did, I can give myself credit for. The only one I let get been playing my face constantly was that doggone Jimmy. I don't know why I let that boy play with me so much, but that's the only one who lived to tell this story that I cheated on her and she stayed, okay? But, I understand why now that was our lot in life, right? But
Mhm.
I do believe that we made it to a solid place. And I'm going to discuss later on, what that looks like. But what I want to switch to right now is children, Shannon. How does it look like to the kids once the partner commit an act of infidelity? Um, it's instances where the kids hold the mother to the fire more than the father. Have you ever seen couples like that? You know,
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't know.
no, I've never seen where they hold the mother. No. I have seen where, fathers have been hated, or I have one very close friend where her relationships in her adult life suffered because she didn't trust men because of what her father did to her mother.
Wow.
And so that impacts her to this day. And I hate it for her, that she was never able to move forward past, what she saw growing up. Um, and then other situations where, the children are too young to know, but yet the mother somehow finds a way to let them know when they're older, which is
Do you remember
damaging.
well, here
Oh,
I go.
Lord.
Me and my movies,
Yeah.
since we done took out the fiction of families. Now you brought it up.
Mhm.
Now I can't help where my memory and
Ah.
mind goes. You remember
Mm.
Love and Basketball? Now that's a classic.
Yes,
You have to
yes.
have seen
Oh,
that.
yes. Oh, yes. Now
That
that one I
that was
know.
a point where
Mm.
the mother could have actually left that child completely out of that. That boy was in college.
Yeah.
He was out of the home.
Yeah.
He did not
Mm.
need to know. If his father did
Right.
that, she should have moved on quietly. That
Yep.
was one
Yep.
part. First of all, that's mine and Jamila's favorite movie of all. Much as I watch TV,
Uh,
nothing I don't think will ever top that movie in our book. But that's the only part of that movie that I really want to run through the TV on because that is one time that she did not have to clue that child. Now, Shannon, when you
That's
have smaller
right.
children, no matter how much we try to keep it private, sometimes the change and the turmoil that cheating causes in a household, no matter how hard you try, you can't keep it from those kids, right?
Yeah.
But in that
Yep.
case, there was no need for that kid to know that. And she
Mm-hmm.
had that boy hate his father. But did you hear when the
Right.
mom and dad had the argument? He said, "You know I wasn't ready for a child." She said, "Are you trying to say trap me?" He said,
Mm-hmm.
"No matter how it happened, I stood up and I was a man."
Mm-hmm.
And you know that said to me, Shannon, spoke volumes to say is, I did my thing, but I stepped up, I married you, and I raised my kid the right way.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
she was
Yep.
just upset. She was just upset with the fact that he didn't want her anymore. But he was a
Mm-hmm.
brilliant father to that boy. He got him,
Yes, he
coached him in
was.
basketball.
Yep.
He raised a
Mm,
man. He taught him not what to do, what to say. And she
right.
basically undid everything that father did because of her personal feelings. She just couldn't accept the fact that
Mm-hmm.
it was over for her. And
That's
I will
right.
I
That's
never
right.
forgave her for that in that movie. Because that boy didn't have to be destroyed like that. But luckily,
Uh-huh.
he was able to come back. Remember at the end, he was able to go back, get his
Yep.
girl, and had this baby, and it was a beautiful ending. But it
Mm.
doesn't always work that way because sometimes the comeback
No,
doesn't happen. So
that's
in that case,
right.
it wasn't the parents that came back, but it was the boy that was able to heal from that situation. And that I did,
Right.
that I did admire.
Right. So have you seen the flip side where in real life where the mother is, you know,
Absolutely. They help the kids or
okay.
the mother to a higher, I
Mm.
don't know. I think it's just nature. Just like men can sleep with high men and woman, they like, oh, he cool, that's the man. But when a
Mm.
woman sleep with one man besides, oh, she the biggest slut in town. Oh, she the biggest hoe out
Yeah.
here. So yes,
Yeah.
so that's how it is. I think with a couple of relationships with that I'm speaking of. Of course, I don't call these people names. It's messed
Right.
up their livelihood. But the kids really like they took the mother down through there. Like
Mm.
like, you
Yeah.
tramp? What you do to my
Yeah.
daddy? But when the
Yeah.
dad did the exact same thing, it's kind of was like the silent treatment. It was swept under the rug and like life goes on. And I think that's such a double standard. So yeah, that's why I mentioned it. I have seen that.
Oh
And
yeah.
I don't
Double
agree with that.
standard. Yeah. Or when you have seen, and I've seen it in my family, where if the wife is cheated on, there's no sympathy for her because someone has figured, oh, she deserve it. Oh,
Mhm.
she doesn't treat him right anyway. Um, because you're on the outside looking in, you don't know
That's right.
what's really going on behind closed doors. But in some cases, and I've been guilty of it, I have many, many times where, I found out, oh, such and such cheating on, his wife or your cousin or your this or that, your auntie, and you're like, oh well, she deserves she deserves it.
But
She should treat him better. She should be nicer. She should be this or whatever. And that's wrong. That is so
because you
wrong.
don't
And
know
I
if
know
that
this
late at night that
now.
woman's getting beat or knocked upside her head.
Exactly.
You don't know if he's not sleeping with
Right.
her. Can he perform? We don't
Mm,
know all the details that goes into it sometimes.
that's
That's why,
right.
okay, I got to hit y'all with
Yeah.
the 21st century saying we listen and we don't judge. You don't know what's going on sometimes.
That's
I had,
right.
I've been
Yeah.
waiting to use that when I got it. I finally got to where I could use it. We listen
We
and we don't
listen and
judge.
don't judge. And that's so hard as humans. It
It
really
is
is
hard.
to,
It is hard.
especially when we watch a lot of reality TV and you're
Hmm.
meant to judge. You're meant to sit there and judge these people on their crazy lives. And so you
That's a
in
fact.
turn take that, those
Projected
thoughts
into
to
real
your
life situations.
yeah.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
But let
Mm-hmm.
me ask you this, Shannon, and it's one more point I kind of want to discuss with this topic. When you have experienced that the mother's cheating and they're getting the harsh treatment, or the guy's cheating and says, well, maybe she deserved it because she's beating him or whatever. Have you seen those couples survive? Have you seen any
Oh
of those
yeah.
couples rebound and
Yeah.
come back? You have.
Yeah.
That's
I
good. That's good
have.
to know.
I've seen them come back. I've seen them get stronger. I've seen a friend of mine, her parents, they actually separated for a little while. The
Hmm.
mother said, I'm out of here. And when I say a little while, I mean a couple of years. She said,
Okay.
I can't do it. But he didn't move on. He waited. And I have to give him that. I was
Wow.
just astonished that he said, no, she's coming back. Because, they've been together since, childhood almost. And he
Okay.
couldn't see his life without her. Even though he messed up, he said, yeah, I was wrong, but I'm not going to move
Hmm.
on. I'm just going to sit here and wait. And she went out, did her thing, finally lived a little herself. And then she came back, and they're strong to this day. And so when people look at their marriage and some people scoff and say, ah, yeah, they've been married, 40 some years, but look at what he did. So I don't consider that a success. I do consider this a
I do consider
success.
this because I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you something, and I think I've
Mm.
said it before. I'm gonna say it again, and as long as wife and baby mamas in business, you might hear it one more time. You show me anyone who's been married 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, and you
Mm.
show me a perfect marriage, and I'll show you two lying folks.
Yep.
Everyone
Yep.
who's been married 5 years or better
Mm.
has endured some things. Now, maybe
Yeah.
not cheating, maybe not infidelity, but baby, you've endured some things. And that
Yep.
is the last point that I want to speak to, Shannon. I'll segue into that.
Mm-hmm.
What about couples who don't go through infidelity? What about clean slates? Do you think, Shannon, it's instances where there's no fidelity at all? I wonder if people still have their doubts. Because as I become older and wiser, Shannon, I've learned that trust doesn't start and end with fidelity.
That's
It's
true.
so much more. It's so much more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, can I trust you with our finances? Can I trust you to
Mm.
show up for our children? Those type of
Right.
things, offenses
Yeah.
and disappointments that can also drive wedges in. Do
Mm-hmm.
you think it's along the same lines, or you think that's just too far fetched from the topic that we're speaking on tonight?
Well, no. I mean, it depends on how seriously you take some of these things. There are some
Hmm.
couples where finances they're a joke. They're they're not a big deal. But then there are other people where
Finances are in the marriage.
it will end the marriage. Yeah, there's no way around it. And my sister, who's been on the show before, Tiffany, her and her husband, finances, they were on the same page, and that's the one thing I did love about their marriage. When it came to the money part of their marriage,
Hmm.
they were on the same page. When I tell you, nobody was spending this or that or whatever without talking it over. It was a big deal. Now me,
Okay.
me and me, me and
Me and
me
my
and my
husband,
husband, we
honey,
on the same page too.
let's
We
go.
like, woo, we got $5. Where we going?
Oh, we didn't expect that $20 bonus. Let's eat out
That's
tonight. Turn the stove off.
you got that right. You got that right.
And
So,
Shannon, that's
um,
exactly how my husband and I are. So, honey, I feel it. I will say with our businesses now, I will say that we're
oh
just
yeah,
now learning to be a little more, a
yeah,
little
yeah,
more
yeah.
responsible because,
Uh-huh.
we're trying to build it. We're trying to build this empire here. But Shannon, I'm
Yes,
totally with
yes.
you. I believe in baby, we made it, we spend it. You know what? The kids got life
Mm.
insurance. Y'all spend that when we die. How about that?
That's
Okay.
right. But right now we going to Hawaii.
But right now we up out of here. So hey, I
Yes,
totally feel
yes,
you on that, honey.
yes,
But yeah, so
yes.
I think that then we can say that's not so far fetched. Then it's other things
No,
that couples
no.
can lead astray from. But the
Yeah,
point of me bringing that up was I wanted people to understand when it comes to the comeback that everything doesn't start and fall on infidelity. Every couple would not have that problem. Every that will not be the end all for every couples, but it's often. And that to me, that's the only offense that I think is very hard to come back from. Like
yeah.
I can teach you how to spend money, Shannon, and manage money better.
Right,
I can
right.
teach Jimmy, which I had
Mm-hmm.
to, it's okay to discipline the kids, but don't do it at this time. I have been taught by
Yeah.
other wiser wives that you don't talk about kids and stuff when your husband come home from working 18, 12 hours a day. That's not the time. He's tired. He's not going to hear you. I can be taught on all those different things. But infidelity, I think the reason that's so harsh is that plays on your mind for a very long time
It
because that's one
does.
thing that you can't undo. So I think
Yeah.
that's why that's the focus of our topic, but we want people to fully understand that that's not the end all for every relationship. It's like I said, trust does not start and end right there because there are some instances when people have been married 30, 40, 50 years and it's never been a case of infidelity.
Right.
Never.
Right.
But it could have been
Yeah.
plenty other things. So I just wanted to
Yeah.
bring that up. In my case, my love for my husband, Shannon, is just as strong as the day we met. However, I
Mhm.
feel the years of hurt and not always him because I had my days too, but I feel like all the pain that we caused each other, like I said, because I had my days, we had our ups and downs, turmoil, it chipped away, Shannon, at who I truly am. And I don't think I'm the same person anymore, and I
Right.
probably won't ever be that free trusting spirit I was before life just happened to us. But there is not another person on this earth that I'd rather spend my life with. So that's why we're
Yeah.
here. And that's why
Yeah.
I'm certain that my husband will never hurt me in that way again, nor will I betray his trust, because
Mhm.
that's the thing. That's the one thing we gotta depend on and anchor on to keep us
Right.
grounded. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it continues to keep me. So when I do have the
Yeah.
wonder in mind, when I do be like you just said, well, he went in the phone. Is he? I mean, the garage. Is he on his phone? Those are the things that we
Mhm.
gotta tune out, and we
Mhm.
gotta we gotta let that grace cover us. That grace that we decided to give him. Well, I decided to give him when I stayed. That's the grace that got to keep us through the years to come.
Yeah. That is true. And understand that if you do decide, like we mentioned last week, if you do decide you want to keep this thing going, really keep it going. I mean, the comeback is truly the comeback. You're willing to put in the work to keep it going, whatever that
Hmm.
means, whatever it takes. Now, when you hear people say, "Hey, my marriage ended because he cheated on me," is that really why it ended?
Right?
Dun
Or
dun
is that where you
dun.
wanted? Oh yeah, is that where you wanted it to end?
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's why I
Yeah.
said I let my grace, the grace that I decided to give when I came back, I let that grace
Mhm.
continue to cover me. And that's pretty much
Mhm.
all I have on that topic.
All right.
Well,
Nice
all right
wrap
then.
up.
Nope, we didn't wrap it up. I'm gonna wrap it up right now.
Oh, wrap it up. I'm sorry. I
Wrap it
thought.
up. No, it's okay. I was giving my last point of view on my topic. The wrap up is
Okay.
for everybody. Okay, so
Okay.
when it comes to the title, the comeback, we'll wrap up with this. Surviving infidelity is never an easy decision, but it's definitely a personal one. As Shannon stated on last week, it's not always as simple as walking away, and sometimes it is. My marriage folded the first time because we weren't mentally equipped to deal with that, and nor should I think we have stayed. But luckily, I
Right.
think we're too old now to even care this time around. So I'm not proud nor ashamed of what we put each other through in the past, Shannon. I'm just simply saying
Mhm.
I don't know if it's right or wrong. I don't know if you walk away if you say. I'm simply saying, Shannon, your love is your business. And the only ones who should have a say in that, like you said about the couple, the guy waiting for the lady all those years, the only people who got to say so in that is her partner, and God. And
That's
as I say
right.
often, a threefold cord is not easily broken. So my final answer, Shannon, if the comeback is possible, yeah, it is. I'm living
Yeah.
proof. But what that
That's
looks
all
like
right.
in each individual situation is completely based on how we handle our own healing.
Mhm.
It's totally up to us. Just like you said, Shannon. Is it over because I cheated or because he cheated? It's up to you.
Mm.
Your healing
Yep.
is your responsibility.
That's right. Beautiful. All
That's my wrap
right.
up.
That's your wrap up. Awesome. Okay, here we go. On to the sound off.
Our sound off song of tonight comes from a group called Basic Black and is titled Special Kind of Fool. Whew, I
Mm.
took y'all back to the mid crates. Shannon, you don't know that one, do you?
No. Maybe if
Baby,
I heard it.
I need you to log off in here and let the listeners know what it's all about. Now, I have never asked you to come back with a comeback. I want you to come back
Yeah.
next week, Shannon, and tell them
Yeah.
what you think about it.
Special kind
I
of
took y'all
fool. What year
special
what
kind of
year
food.
was that?
Now, baby, probably the 80s. I probably still in the
Oh,
sandbox. See,
okay.
that's when you and
Okay.
Jimmy was making babies, okay? That's back then. Special kind of fool. I just happen to
Okay.
be I just happen to be a music lover, and baby, I can dig it from what he and I've been going through. I'm like, yeah, I was definitely his special kind of fool, honey. But the group is Basic Black. So I know, like I said, I took y'all back to the McCricks on that one. So young people, that's definitely out of your league. But no matter how old or young you may be, if you experience love and hardship in any relationship, you'll appreciate it. So go put it on, pop it on, and take a listen, y'all. As soon as we get off, I want y'all to ponder this topic, pop that song on, and tell me if I nailed it. Y'all email Shannon, let her know where they can send it to, Shannon.
Yes, send us your comments at wifey and baby mama at gmail.com. Once again, wifey and baby mama at gmail.com.
All right, and real quick before you take us out, Miss Shannon, can I let you all know that I got a call from a network this week? And I would
Oh,
like for you all to pray for me. Pray for me. And then I need you to
yes.
head to YouTube on Mondays at 7 p.m. Any Monday you so choose at 7 p.m. That's when they're going to be clocking my numbers. Click on Gaines
All
Family
right.
Production and check out episode 1 of Broken Love.
Yes.
We're going to
Once
air it
again,
there.
that's Mondays. Mondays at 7, right?
Mondays at 7. We're going to air just one episode. Those numbers get ran up and we get to do our thing. And also, you can find now on that same channel, it's called Gaines Family Production. You can find Shannon and I's titles for the week for our podcast. So if you missed it, if you wasn't online, if you're not on social media, we now have a new way for you to learn what the titles are. Show up early morning so y'all can get ready and be prepared to listen in. So please pray for us.
Yes,
Baby mama, pray for us.
I will.
We
I
can both retire.
will. Yes, that's what we want.
That's what we want. And we can give y'all
While
more of
while we're
wife and
young,
baby
yeah,
mama. While we're
exactly.
young and can
While we're
enjoy it. We can
young
give y'all some
enough. Yes,
some live shows. We can be around the country recording in Hawaii. All right,
that's
baby mama.
right.
Take us out,
All
darling.
right. Thank you all for joining. And until next week.
We love you all. Bye.
I'm wavy.